Hello there, avid listeners. Thank you again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. If I seem a little distracted, it's because I'm kind of doing a lot of household chores at the moment. Meal prepping and, household chores, basically. I've gone back to work full time, so the only time I really have to record is on my days off. But of course, anyone who works full time knows that on your days off, it's really not a day off. It's a day off to catch up on all of the things you haven't been able to do all week, like meal prep. And if you're wondering why I meal prep, it's because I work in a movie theater, and if I don't, I'm going to end up eating at the fast food joint across the street or movie theater food. And not the healthiest thing to do. But in any case, that's why you're going to hear a lot of background sounds. Hopefully I don't slice my finger off this week, because I pretty much almost sliced my finger off last week. But in any case, thank you again for tuning in, and thanks for sticking around. I really do appreciate it a lot. Today we're going to be talking about Havenfall by Sarah Holland. This is a novel I have kind of mixed feelings about. I didn't hate it, and at the end of the day, I really did enjoy the novel. I did think it was something interesting. However, what kind of threw me was the character voices. I have Sarah Holland books. I pretty much buy her books because I love the premise behind them, and I love the premise behind Havenfall. It follows Maddie. She is on her way to her uncle's inn, and the inn is really a realm between worlds, it has doorways to other realms. So, it's sort of like Switzerland for these worlds. They keep the balance. And, sorry, I just looked at my meals from HelloFresh, deciding which one to cook. And they both look so good. But, I'll do this one. So that's what I thought was, really interesting. It's kind of like Switzerland for these magical realms. They come together and they make peace treaties between their magical realms. I think that's really cool, how that kind of works out. Now, the different realms too, I think this is what Holland does really well with her story. She creates fantasy very, very well with her story. I have to say that. I really did enjoy her world building here. I thought her world building was very good, and I thought how she takes these elements of fantasy and she gives them a unique kind of life. I thought that was really cool, because you have these allusions to elves, you have these allusions to all sorts of fantasy, vampires, werewolves, you name it. The allusion to them is there. So she's kind of tying back what we know of. She's kind of tying what we know of fantasy to these realms. She is creating some realism to it. Because who's to say an inn like this doesn't exist somewhere high in the mountains? That's what I think is really cool, that you don't have to suspend your belief for this story. That is what I think is key for this novel, and probably what I enjoyed most about it, that you don't have to suspend your belief for it. So, I do think it is a very good story, ultimately. I just have issues with the characterization and her voice for the characters. At first, Maddie, I really did like her voice, but I feel like as the story goes on, she tends to fall flat. Now, maybe this is intentional, because her character doesn't believe she's ready to take on the role as innkeeper. She doesn't believe she has the strength to keep the peace. You know, she has a lot of doubt to her. So her inner narrative voice is strong, but her outer voice, that is what I thought was kind of lacking. Unfortunately. That's what, to me, was lacking. And, you know, I hate to say that because, you know, ultimately I do think this story is engaging. You know, I do think the story is captivating. Ooh, what happened here? Oh. So, I mean, that's what I really liked about it. You know, the fantasy. I wish Maddie's voice had been stronger throughout. And then there's Tava? Sorry. I think she also is a little bland. I feel like she's just there as a plot device to kind of make Maddie question a lot of what's going on around her. You know, like... And that's the part I didn't like about her. I don't think her character, Taya, I don't think she shined. I don't think she shined off the pages. I think she ultimately did fall a little flat. Which is unfortunate because I think her character, as her character evolves, you know, her personality doesn't really shine, but her character's story does evolve. There are a lot of plot twists and revelations, and I think that that's really engaging for the reader. But ultimately, I didn't think she was that great of a character because, again, she just fell a little flat for me. Her voice didn't really shine, and the way that she kind of just takes a back seat sometimes, you know, literally in the story, she does take some back seats. She does take a back seat. Now, I'm not saying, sorry, I'm just trying to grab a pot and pan here. She does take a lot of back seats. And now, I don't have a problem with that. Really, truly, I don't. But again, you know, I think at times her and Maddie, their voices blended together because they both kind of are a little bland. And that's the part of the story that I didn't really like. And that's why I have mixed feelings in the story, because it has a lot of fantasy to it. It has a lot of wonder. The story development is very well done. You know, the story development is there. But ultimately, it lacks strong characterization. It lacks engaging characters. It has an engaging story, but it doesn't have an engaging character to drive the reader forward. And that's the part that kind of loses me, because especially in the beginning, before you're really involved in all the mystery, before you're involved in kind of trying to solve the crime and stuff, you're able to easily put down this novel. Eventually, it does kind of lull you into this sense of comfort, so you do get lost in the storytelling, and that's what I liked. Again, that's one of the things I liked about the story. It does lull you into it. It does create this sense of wonder for the reader. So, you know, that's a good thing. And I do like this story development. There's so many plot twists in it. There's a lot of intrigue. You're second guessing the characters' motives, all of them. You're second guessing all the characters' motives, you know, because there's so much that's happening. There's a lot of secret keeping. And if there's one thing I learned from reading so many books, is that keeping secrets, never good. Never good. It's just like, just say what you need to say. Just say it. Everything will be fine. But, you know, that's just me. And of course, if no one kept secrets, there would be no story. In any case, you know, ultimately I do think Havenfall is a really good story. I think it's definitely one worth reading because it's a lot of fun. It has a lot of intrigue to it. It has a lot of story development. You know, it does develop very well. And that's what I liked about it. You know, I'm really actually excited to see where the second novel, Phoenix Flame, is going to take us all, because it's kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen now? Because there's so much that happened in the first novel. There is a lot. Once again, it's easy to follow, but you're kind of wondering what's going to happen next, you know? There was a lot of backhandedness. There were a lot of secrets that have come to light. There's this whole situation with Maddie's mother. So there's a lot that happened here. And you know what? I definitely do think it is worth reading at the end of the day. I liked it. It does have a very slow pace to it, but I liked it. There wasn't, you know, anything, yeah, the characterization was lacking for me, but that wasn't a turn off. You know, I was still kind of engaged. Maddie's internal narrative was much stronger than her dynamic with other characters. And I like that we get to know who Maddie is as a character. That is something I did like. So, you know, definitely check it out. This is Havenfall by Sarah Holland. It's the first in the series. Highly recommend it. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I know I just said highly recommend it, and I do highly recommend it just because I'm giving it, you know, less than stellar stars, you know, not my typical 4 stars. I've already explained why, but ultimately I do think it is a novel worth reading because of that fantasy, because of the history to the magic, the mystery of the magic. You know, I really do think all of that is well done to create a really well-rounded story. So ultimately I do think it is worth reading because of that. So once again, Havenfall by Sarah Holland. 3.5 out of 5 stars. You can go ahead and purchase this book off of bookshop.org. Percentage of all proceeds from bookshop.org do go to supporting local booksellers. You can also check out this book from your local library. And you know, guys, I hope you will support me by continuing to tune in and listen to Sin's Workshop podcast and sharing it. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. As always, happy reading.